if Asian man can't jump back at it. So today we're going to start off by talking about the NBA trade deals. A lot of stuff has been happening recently. Feb 9th, the magic date for the end of trade deals. First one that we want to go over, we'll cover all the big ones, but first one is we're going to start off with is the three-way deal that the Lakers with the Timberwolves and the Jazz. The Lakers got D'Lo, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. Timberwolves got Conley, Mikael Alexander Walker. I can't say his name properly. Three second round picks in 2024, 2025, and 2026. And the Jazz got Russell Westbrook, Juan Tosco Anderson, and Jamie. The Jazz got Russell Westbrook, JTA, and Damian Jones, and a 2027 first round pick. So, what I want to do, start off by asking is, what does this trade mean for the Lakers and their next few seasons? They've picked up a few good players, especially D'Lo. He's averaging near 18 points now. So, what do you guys think? What does this mean for the Lakers season?
So I think this is great for D'Lo to come back home with LeBron. LeBron's been looking for a good guard, and D'Lo obviously has shown that he's a great guard in Minnesota. He's been averaging 17.9 points, 3.2 rebounds, 6.2 assists, with another star forward and another star center being, he's not really a star, but Rudy Gobert, and then a pop out forward like Ant. And I'd just like to add that Jared Vanderbilt, who the Lakers are also receiving, was recently benched by Walker Kessler, who has been doing great these past few weeks. He's a huge block. Literally, he gets so many blocks every game. But Jared Vanderbilt has proved that he is a pretty strong producer on the court.
Well, personally for me, I think that this D'Lo trade means the Lakers are going to try to push for a championship in the next few seasons. I mean, they already got LeBron, Anthony Davis. And we know Westbrook's kind of like a down player. I mean, he doesn't even get along with the coach, so he's just. You go next. You talk next.
Well, I feel like the Lakers definitely won the trade because Westbrook's been wanting out from the Lakers, and getting D'Lo, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt, they get a young guard or a young forward in Jared Vanderbilt who's been doing really well with the Jazz. So you could see like role player minutes in the Lakers.
Yeah, definitely. I think Lakers primed again for possibly a playoff run. In either this season or the coming seasons. Next, onto the Timberwolves. Are the Timberwolves going into some sort of rebuild? They're trading away D'Lo, who's a pretty good star, for a few role players and some picks. So, are the Timberwolves looking to go into a rebuild to kind of recenter themselves around their strong players like Ant, Cat, and Gobert?
Yeah, I think this is a great decision for the Wolves. Mike Conley has proved many times in his career that he's a very good, strong court general. He, on the season, has 10.7 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 7.7 assists. On paper, this may not look like great stats, but obviously, in the past, we've seen he's a very strong playmaker and can provide for his team. That's it. So, I don't really think they're in rebuild mode. I think they're just trying to upgrade and trying to fit what's better for their roster and their play time.
I disagree with they're not going to rebuild. I feel like they are because they want to rebuild their team around Anthony Edwards, obviously, and Cat. They're both really young and they're all-star, superstar caliber players. And I feel like they're going to be able to do a lot better if they have better role players around them.
I mean, Mikael Alexander Walker is pretty good. He can play as a backup point guard for the Timberwolves, but I think Mike Conley's a good pick up for them. I think they're trying to contend now. Just get a bunch of draft capital, because Mike Conley's kind of aging, so it doesn't make sense for him to trade for Conley and try to go for a rebuild because he's 35, so he's old.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with Jacob. The picks can just be seen as a way to sustain their team for their upcoming years where they have these young stars and hoping them get into a place where they can prosper. So now, about the Jazz, let's try to figure out what are these guys trying to do. It feels like every year they're getting worse than the last. The time they traded D. Mitchell away. I mean, they got a lot of players, a lot of picks off of them, but what are the Jazz doing? Are they going into rebuild mode? They got Westbrook, who's pretty old. So, what's really happening with them?
Okay, well, what I think is going to happen is I think that Westbrook could possibly get waived, and possibly picked up by a different team like the Bulls. His cap is just way too much. $44 million. The Jazz are clearly trying to rebuild. I mean, they got Laurie Markkinen and they just got a first round pick in that trade. They're trying to go for the long run, the long haul. And they're getting a bunch of young players, so I think this should let go Westbrook.
I think this is a really bold statement, but within the next decade, we will see the Jazz as NBA champions because they're going for a very strong rebuild. They have a lot of draft capital, and I think this trade really helps their future, not present currently, but I think this will really help them, especially if they can utilize Russell Westbrook as either maybe a playmaker or more likely they're probably just going to use him for trade value.
Or as like a veteran leadership
Yeah.
type player with his young core.
Yeah, definitely. Sir, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like he could definitely help the Jazz because you can also argue that he's a superstar caliber player, and that he can like pass the ball and help the Jazz with spacing. And I also feel like Juan Toscano Anderson and Damian Jones, they might be able to replace Jared Vanderbilt and the other young core that they traded away.
I mean, Russell Westbrook was the MVP not too long ago, so he's kind of losing it. So.
Yeah, definitely falling off from the glory days.
Yeah, that was a different time period, different team, and probably a different sort of age we've seen. We still got that explosiveness, but we can't. It doesn't work for the teams he plays with now.
I feel like he might do a bit better on the Jazz though because he had a lot of pressure on the Lakers, and especially in a city in Los Angeles, he would kind of fall to the pressure with like playing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So I feel like the Jazz would be like a lot better suited for it.
All right. So that kind of sums it up for what we have on the Westbrook drill. Onto Josh Hart. So let's vote here. We're just gonna cover a few of the trades. So in the Josh Hart deal, the Knicks got Josh Hart, who's a good role player. Getting 10 points per game, shooting 50%, getting about 8 to 9 rebounds per game. The Blazers got
Cam Reddish, Ryan Arcidiacono, Spy Mihailuk, Tua, and a 2023 lottery protected first round pick. Anything you get into everyone?
Yeah, this is pretty simple. It looks like they were just trying to reunite two little friends. Josh Hart played with Jalen Brunson back at college at Villanova. And in fact, Brunson actually found out about this trade while he was at his Villanova jersey retirement, which I think was pretty cool. And he had a very shocked reaction. He was very happy to see his former teammate back on his team. Just to put it short and simple, this is a great trade for the Knicks, but they're putting away a pretty strong draft pick. But overall, I think this is a good trade for the Knicks. I think that's all you really have to say.
I mean, the Knicks are giving a lot being given up here. I mean, Cam Reddish, all those players, that pick too. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, definitely. So on to the next trade. We got the Hotel deal.
Total?
Yeah, Poeltl deal. The Raptors get Jacob Poeltl, who is getting 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. The Raptors are still trying to stay as contenders, but they are giving away picks, keeping Pascal Siakam, OG, and Fred VanVleet. They did the deal with the Spurs. They got Cam Birch, a 2024 first round pick, and 2 second round picks. So just quickly, do you guys have any opinions on this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jakob Poeltl, they're trying to make trades for Jakob Poeltl. He's a very good, strong center. But they obviously kept Siakam, Anunoby, and VanVleet. It shows that they're trying to contend. Because some people suspected that they would all be traded, and the Raptors kept them. So we kind of see Poeltl with Poeltl, the Raptors are still trying to contend. And they gave up some picks, so they're not trying to move for that long haul.
I have 2 things to add about this. Number one, expect to see a huge decline in Chris Boucher's minutes, his points, his overall production. He has been a very good force in the front court for the Raptors, but obviously with them trying to add in Poeltl here, it looks like that his relevancy in fantasy and betting and whatever you do is going to fall off. Secondly, I think a lot of us expected OG and Anunoby, my bad, to be traded away. Me and Dennis were eagerly waiting in Chem for him to show up on Waj's Twitter, but obviously he didn't get traded, which is what many rumors expected for him. But I don't know. It looks like Durant's going to be undefended in the West.
Okay. Dennis, what do you think about the Pope trade?
I feel like with Poto going back to the Raptors, he was on the Raptors for a couple seasons, and I feel like he's going to really help the Raptors become like a championship contender. As like he's like a really solid center from the Spurs. And I feel like they gave like a decent amount. I feel like it was a decently fair trade for both teams.
Okay, let's move on to the Mo Bamba trade with Patrick Beverly. Lakers traded away Patrick Beverly, second round pick, and money for Mo Bamba. So that's an interesting trade because we all thought that Pat Bev would be able to reunite with D'Lo, and he was traded the next day. So sucks for Pat Bev. But what do you guys think?
So these are two irrelevant players who this trade probably would have excited a lot of people maybe back in 2017, 2018, when Mo Bamba was known as the guy who got a song named after him. But it looks like I don't really know what's going to go on with the Lakers front court here. They did trade away Thomas Bryant, but Mo Bamba, he did okay behind Bol. And I forgot his name already on whatever team center he played with on the Magic. So yeah, I think this is a pretty simple trade. Two nobodies who really don't provide that much to their teams.
Yeah, I was about to say that Pat Bev and D'Lo. I kind of wanted them to stay together so they can win another playing championship. But let's move on to the John Wall three-way trade with the Grizzlies, the Clippers, and the Rockets. Clippers get 3 second-round picks. Eric Gordon. The Grizzlies get Luke Kennard, and the Rockets get John Wall, Danny Green, and the Bucks 2023. Let's talk about the Clippers here. They get Eric Gordon, long-time piece of Rocket player, averaging 13, 3, and 2 at 50% shooting. Eric Gordon being a little old, but you see the Clippers making a lot of moves during this trade deadline, so they're clearly trying to contend, getting a bunch of old players too. So we'll see what they do with that.
I feel like Eric Gordon, he's not like. I feel like he's just gonna become like a veteran role player and like teaching like the young people at young court in Los Angeles, and I feel like he's getting way too old, and he's not gonna like be playing many minutes, and I don't really think he's gonna affect like the Clippers' championship run, like,
especially behind Kawhi and
yeah.
PG.
Yeah, and on top of that, the Clippers did also get 3 second-round picks from the Grizzlies. So, does anyone feel that maybe the Grizzlies kind of overpaid for this trade to get Luke Kennard?
I mean, I don't think they were trying. Like, Luke Kennard was just part of it. I think they were trying to flip Kennard, like, and Dylan Brooks in a few first-round picks, trying to get OG. And the Raptors didn't want to give that up. But yeah, I know. That's why I thought they were going to flip Luke Kennard, try to get OG. But the reason they did is to shed Danny Green's cap. It's $15 million. A lot of money. You gotta save up that money. The guys that got to get paid this year. I mean, you got Desmond Bane and Santi Aldama, those some big role players for the Grizzlies. So you got to shed that cap to pay them. But I don't think anyone wants Danny Green too. So let's talk about the.
Just want to add. I don't know how John Wall's going to work at the Rockets. He's a veteran, and the Rockets are definitely trying to build a young core. And I think he's going to do like okay, but he slowly, after he left the Wizards, he's just become a journeyman in the NBA, just collecting these jerseys. And he was injured recently. I don't remember exactly what the injury was, but we'll have to see how he exactly influences this young Rockets team.
Yeah, I agree with Ron. It's a good take on John Wall. John Wall getting a little old, going back to the Rockets, where he started his career at. Danny Green also going to the Rockets. Just came back from his ACL injury. Like less than 10 games in the season. They also get picks. But sorry, Dennis, you want to?
Yeah, I feel like both the Clippers and the Rockets, they just wanted to trade for like some veteran role players in John Wall, Danny Green, and Eric Gordon, so they can like facilitate their young core.
Okay, so moving on to the Warriors deal. The smartest deal in the league.
It was not the smartest deal, bro. They pretty much just traded James Wiseman
by far,
for Gary Payton, bro.
Okay,
It was a good move, but not the smartest play.
Okay, and in my opinion, the smartest team in the league, obviously. Just to give a little bit of background, so the Warriors did a deal with James Wiseman. They gave away a 3-way deal with the Pistons and the Hawks to give James Wiseman to get Kevin Knox and 5 second-round picks. They then used the Kevin Knox and the second-round picks to trade with the Blazers to get Gary Payton the second back. So What is your guys' opinion on this? I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the defense is really helpful in getting a key member of their bench from their last year championship run back on the team is super helpful and super important. So, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah, Gary Payton's a really good defender. They just pretty much gave Wiseman for Gary Payton. But I kind of think they just gave up on James Wiseman. I mean, I know he's injury prone, but he was your second overall pick. Like, you don't just give up on your second overall pick. And he was a center, a position the Warriors really needed. But they got Gary Payton back. Very solid defender.
Yeah. So, Ron, do you have anything else to say about that deal? Or we move on to Kyrie.
Yeah, this is a pretty simple deal. Obviously, Warriors fans expected a lot out of Wiseman being the second overall pick, and he didn't show up. So we returned to somebody that we used to know. So let's talk about the Kyrie trade.
Kyrie.
Kyrie is that guy. So Brooklyn will receive, or has already received, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and an unpredicted 2029 first round draft pick, a 2027 first round draft pick, and a 2029 second round pick in the swap. And the Mavs are going to get Markieff Morris and Kyrie Irving. So one question I do have to ask for this is, are the Mavericks championship contenders with this new core, including Kyrie?
I feel like they definitely have a shot, but with the Suns making their moves in trade during the trade deadline, I feel like it might not be like the best shot. But Luka does own Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns, so I feel like they will have the best shot in the NBA at beating them.
Yeah, that's a good take. I really want to see the Mavericks and the Suns playing the playoffs. That'd be such an interesting game. But just overall for this trade, Brooklyn got a big haul. I mean, Dinwiddie, solid player. DFS, he's good too. First round pick, second round pick, swap. They get to shed Markieff Morris' cap, and they get rid of Kyrie Irving, who never wants to play because he's always complaining about his teammates.
Yeah, adding on what Jacob said, Dorian Finney-Smith, he's a really good wing defender, and he really helped the Mavs on like the defending side of their team. And I feel like Brooklyn really received like a really nice trade with like all those picks and two really good role players.
So there's been a lot of worry about Kyrie and the role he's going to share with Luka. Like, will his production dip? We've seen Kyrie play with a lot of superstars, and he's still been that guy. So we saw him play with LeBron. We saw him play with Tatum. We saw him play with KD, yeah, Harden. Well, they were together for 11 games. Didn't really matter. But I think he's still going to maintain his value. So if fantasy owners out there, if you still have Kyrie Irving, keep him because he is going to still be that guy.
Just saying, like, Kyrie, how many games do you think Kyrie Irving will play with the Mavericks this season?
Every single game.
You don't think he'll just get out because he has some problem with his family or something?
Drama king.
Yeah.
I don't think this guy will play over 30 games.
I think definitely for at least that, finishing this season up, Kyrie will play in all the games. I think, one thing that we will get into a little bit later is the management stuff at Brooklyn. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But anything else about the Kyrie deal before we move on to the big blockbuster trade with Durant and the Suns?
I would just like to add Spencer Dinwiddie. He played with the Nets from 2016 to 2021, period where the Nets weren't exactly contenders. And he's a very strong playoff producer. He's a very good shooter. He's a great guard, and yeah, I think he's gonna do good in Brooklyn. Maybe this is his breakout here.
Well, I just want to say this, that the Mavs get Markieff Morris, sheds a lot of cap from Brooklyn because he's Markieff Morris. And I kind of expect the Mavericks to cut him or something because he sucks. But Kyrie Irving's a big trade. I think now that Dallas are championship contenders. I mean, they got him, Luka, like Rohan said. Kyrie's been playing with superstars all around him. So I expect the Mavericks to make a deep playoff and possibly Western Conference championship. So, yeah.
All right. So next on to, as I said, the Suns got Durant in a blockbuster trade. So the Suns got Durant, T.J. Warren. Nets got Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 first-round picks, and a pick swap for 2028. So, let's talk about this. How is Durant's rehab going to work in Phoenix, and do the Suns have a championship contending team this year?
Yeah, I think the Suns could possibly get to the finals, but they're not going to win
Could possibly.
because they have Chris Paul. I think that if the Suns don't make the finals this year, Chris Paul should be revoked of his Hall of Fame privileges because you legit have one of the greatest bucket getters of all time.
The best.
One of the greatest, undisputably, in Kevin Durant. You already have Devin Booker, one of the top five shooter in the NBA right now, and you're telling me you won't. And you're Chris Paul. Everyone praises your point guard. You're not the point guard if you can't win a championship, bro. Like, come on. He should be revoked of his Hall of Fame privileges if they don't get into the finals.
I think you can't take one thing away from CP3, and that was his legendary run with the Clippers.
CP3.
Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. That was legendary. They didn't make it to make a ring, but man, they were fun to watch. Just like to add TJ Warren, he's a great player. He was a great player in the bubble, and he's returning to Phoenix, which I think this is cool. A lot of players are returning back home. So yeah, I think Suns are definitely going to become a finals team. They are going to win the West. So.
Well, the Suns did give up Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. You know, those are all really good role players, especially in Mikal Bridges and his consistency in playing games. And I also feel like TJ Warren was kind of like he's gonna have a bigger role in the Phoenix Suns lineup, as like they gave up a lot of their role players on the bench.
Well, I just want to say that Brooklyn got the bag for the Kyrie trade and the Durant trade. You can almost make a full starting lineup in like 5 players off the bench with just the players they got. They got Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, first round, 2029 first round pick, 2027 second round, 2029 pick in the swap for the Kyrie trade. And then for the trade with Kevin Durant, they got Mikal Bridges, solid defender, great playmaker. Cam Johnson was very underrated. Jay Crowder, they flipped for 5 second round picks. So basically in this Kevin Durant trade, not only did they get 4 first round picks and a pick swap in 2028, they also get that 5 second round picks from the Jay Crowder trade. That's just 9 picks by itself. You can almost make a 13-man rotation with the amount of picks we got. So that's really big. Anything else you guys want to say?
Yeah, so one question I do have to add is, so as we were talking about the championship contending potential for the Suns, how do you guys think the starting roster is going to fare with they lost a lot of their depth. They lost Mikal Bridges, lost Cam Johnson. How is the starting lineup going to have to fare through the wear and tear of the playoffs with this?
Okay, well, obviously you got Chris Paul, you got Devin Booker. We have small forward position, maybe TJ Warren, maybe someone that came off the bench. You obviously got Kevin Durant, it's Kevin Durant. Yeah, maybe Damian Lee, who's a player for the Suns. Obviously, they still were able to keep the 2018 first round pick in DeAndre Ayton, which is surprising to me. I thought that if they were going to get Durant, they'd have to give up Ayton and Bridges, but yeah, they got to keep Ayton, so.
All right, so one thing that we do want to talk about for the Nets is we know they are rebuilding, so again, feels like they just were doing this, but they are rebuilding again. So one thing that we do want to talk about is what are the failures of this organization? We have all sorts of things from injuries to team synergy, Kyrie's vaccination problems, and from what players say, the Nets' failure as an organization. So, does anyone want to take up starting off with injuries?
Well, there's just a lot of problems with this team. Ben Simmons, problem number 1. Harden, problem number 2. Kyrie Irving, big problem. And KD is not he's not even trying to persuade Kyrie into staying with the team. I just feel like they all gave up on each other. And then Josiah, Sean Marks, they gave up on him too. So I just feel like this team was not meant to be. They just put together hoping to win a chip, and they couldn't. Bad team synergy. They're not good teammates. So.
Yeah, I feel like you can't really call them a failure organization because they did get a lot in return for those superstars, as in in those picks and role players like Mikal Bridges and Dorian Finney-Smith. But I do feel like it was kind of like a missed opportunity with these superstar Hall of Fame players that could easily have dominated the league for a couple more years. So it's kind of sad seeing them gone.
The reason why the Nets got all those players is because they were trying to get a championship. That's why I think it's a failed one. Because they legit got swept by the Celtics last year. So
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, like a few quotes I do want to read off here is so for injuries wise, one of Harden's friends said that Harden became frustrated with the Nets training staff and is focused on maintenance, rest, and recovery. Because in Houston, from what he said, he'd always run stadium stairs and lifts even after games, and he never got hurt. So he feels like one problem on the organization side was, you know, the whole idea of letting him get injured a lot. So another thing that I do want to talk about is the team synergy. You know, Harden and Durant, according to multiple net sources, butted heads during the second season, and Durant didn't think Harden was in peak physique and told him as much. So how do you think this plays into the whole idea? Is this the Nets' fault? Is it just unlucky? Is it the thing with team synergy, or what's going on?
Yeah, so they played only 13 games together, which I think this would be called to anyone as injury, injury, injury. Honey Buns Harden, obviously, was memed across the entire league for his excessive eating of honey buns and strawberry mega palooza milkshakes. So, yeah, I think it's mostly due to injuries and just changes and differences in playing style. I think the Nets GMs, they had a very strong chance but just got ruined by injuries.
I think I would disagree. I mean, I feel like the Nets as an organization kind of did fail. Another few things that Harden did say is that, you know, that organization has to help superstars, play to their potential. And one thing that you did talk about is that Nets did not allow them or help them do that. So I really think, having these three, these are players of the decade. These are some extremely good players. People who would barely watch the NBA still know these guys' names. I really do feel like if the Nets, worked harder, tried harder, and were a little smarter on what they did, they definitely could have secured a really good slot.
yeah, they kind of fumbled the bag there.
Dennis, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, I just feel like it was a missed opportunity, like I said, because these guys are like, they're not even like just decade players. They're like of the 2000s, like they're like the best, if not like top 10, like in the league. So I feel like it's just really sad.
Talking about top 10, I mean, possibly the best player, LeBron. So, in his scoring record, what does that mean for his career as most points scored?
Okay, so let's not get in the GOAT debate over Braun versus MJ, but I think everyone has to shut up as soon as LeBron hits a scoring record. He hit it in the same amount of time as Kareem did, but I think this is just a huge milestone, not only in LeBron's career, this is just NBA history. So I think we should just all acknowledge this. We can all have our own debates on who's the GOAT, but overall, I think this is just this should just be like us recognizing a player who's worked so hard for one of the NBA's greatest titles.
I know you just said not to bring up the battle, but one thing that we do have to acknowledge is that after the game, when Shaq asked LeBron if he thought that he was the greatest player of all time, LeBron said, quote, he would take himself over anyone who has ever played the game. So, not taking shots directly at anyone, but he is claiming to be the GOAT. So what do you guys have to say about that? Is he? Is he not?
I mean, man, if I just broke the NBA all-scoring record, yeah, I would think I was the best player of all time. So he's a very accomplished player. He has so many repercussions on pop culture, and you can ask anyone, even the kid in the most rural village, in the most remote country, you can ask him, hey, you know what basketball is? And he'll say, yeah, LeBron James. So I think that just shows how big of an influence is. At the same time, MJ has that same amount of influence.
Yeah, adding on to what Rohan said, MJ had more influence than LeBron, as like Jordan's his shoe brand popped off, went insane in the '90s, and still even now to this day. But also in the Braun versus MJ Go battle, if you're gonna you can't take greatness away from LeBron, right? He's obviously one of the best players, like top two, if not maybe top one, according to some people. But in my opinion, I feel like MJ, if you're gonna take a player by like their only one playoff run, or if you want to choose a player to play for you, right, to play for your team, currently right now, no matter what, you would take MJ over LeBron because MJ's been to the finals, three-peated twice, while LeBron's has more of a longevity type of career with over 20 seasons, and he's obviously LeBron is still one of the greatest of all time, but I feel like MJ is better in that one specific scenario.
Yeah. So what does this mean for LeBron's career and Kareem's career? A huge accolade added to LeBron's
Alright,
career.
first off, no one cares about Kareem's career, bro. LeBron just for the scoring record. I think LeBron's the GOAT now, but why are we talking about Kareem, bro? No one cares about Kareem right now.
Kareem's still number 3.
Yeah, bro, dude,
He's
come
still
on,
number
bro. Okay, I think LeBron now is the GOAT with it. The thing is, he just lacks rings, but he's won with every team he's gone to, and he's a scoring record. But points don't really mean everything. LeBron's just a great facilitator, he can pass the ball, great rebounder. So, I think LeBron can do it.
First of all, Kareem was a cheesehead who only spammed one play, all because he was tall and had that annoying ass wingspan. I think that obviously he's a great player, but obviously I wouldn't put him at number 3. And second of all, I think you can't really do the GOAT debate with LeBron versus MJ. I don't want to be that guy, but it's all about the teams, it's all about the circumstances, it's all about the type of game, the type of area you're playing in. So, yeah, I think you can't really debate them anymore, but we can both call them the greatest of all time.
Two goats.
What Rohan said, you can't take greatness away from Kareem's career because this guy literally scored 38,000 points with 2-pointers. He didn't even have a 3. So imagine if the 3 was bro. Imagine if it was in his era. Like he would have a lot more points than what he currently has.
He was a front court guy. He would be
but
threes anyways.
Who knows? Giannis shoots 3s.
Well, you want to
Giannis will make it.
He's up high.
1 out of 10. Oh, good.
And also the LeBron MJ debate, like Jacob, you can't just take away like a whole half of the NBA game away from MJ. Like MJ literally won Defensive Player of the Year. He had those he was that guy on defense. He had that defensive mindset too. And you can't just take that away from LeBron. He can't really compare to MJ in that type of field.
I don't think anything away from MJ. MJ is good. So.
MJ is good.
He's good. Anyways, speaking of GOATs, let's transition to the NFL. Starting off with Tom Brady has officially retired again after 22 seasons with the Patriots and the Buccaneers. So I think everyone can say he's the undebated GOAT of football, maybe other than Peyton Manning. But there's nothing you can't take away from this guy. He is the GOAT of football as far as we can see.
Alright, let me just 7 rings, 5-time Super Bowl MVP, 3-time MVP, 2-time Offensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, 15-time Pro Bowler, holds nearly every QB record of passing yards. And he was selected in the 6th round, 100 pick by the Patriots. So.
Yeah, coming into that draft, Tom Brady wasn't he was overlooked because of his athleticism and his overall appearance because he wasn't fit or anything.
Well, fat.
Yeah, and also I have a question for you guys. Who do you think, if any QB, maybe Patrick Mahomes, will he ever catch Tom Brady? The GOAT debate.
Tom Brady already beat him, but if Patrick Mahomes can win a chip here to put him at 2 against the Eagles, he got to play for a long time. He got to break the passing record. He got to win more rings.
Definitely, I think the ring is a big role here. It's got to win a bunch of
passing yards.
A bunch of MVPs. It's a lot of work for him.
Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes, he is probably going to take that. Maybe Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has proved he can redefine football for his different style of play. Obviously, we've seen it in Michael Vick. But Michael Vick obviously had his 2-year imprisonment, which kind of ruined his career. Dude thought he was able to do dog fighting.
Okay.
Sorry, mind my language. But yeah, I think we definitely can see someone who can meet TB in the same way and probably break some of the records he has. Obviously, rushing yards, it's pretty easy to beat that. So
I 100% disagree with
that. Yeah, me too.
There's no way you're touching Tom Brady because first of all, this guy name one QB that Patrick Mahomes has gone against in the Super Bowl that was good.
Joe Burrow.
I mean, does Joe Burrow?
Dude. Hey, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, exactly, Matt Ryan. Okay.
Hey, Jalen Hurts.
Does Jalen Hurts compare with Peyton Manning? Yes or no?
I mean, I'd say
because Tom Brady played Peyton Manning almost every single Super Bowl he played.
You mean AFC Championship game?
Yeah, well, same.
I mean, yeah, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. That could be the new rivalry. That could be Manning versus Brady. So yeah.
All right, on to the conference title game recap and analysis. So, Eagles versus Niners, 31 Eagles and 7 to the Niners. On the side.
That's really not me.
Brock Purdy injured his UCL so he'll be out for 6 months. So Trey Lance is going to start next season, but it does bring up the question: is Jimmy G going to stay or is he going to go? And then do the Niners want to re-sign him or are they just going to let him go?
Well, I mean, Shanahan already said that Garoppolo's not staying, so he gone. And Trey Lance, I mean, that little cryptic tweet he sent about the new general manager for the Titans, I don't know what that means, but if he goes there, actually, then they have to have a quarterback. But I think Trey Lance will stay with the Niners. Jimmy G's gone. Go sign with a different team. Go to the Raiders.
Yeah, so no way in heck does Trey Lance ever re-sign with the other team. Niners are going to hold on to him. Like, imagine we have Josh Johnson as our starting QB into the next season. It's actually going to be horrible. We're going to lose to the Bears again. And, man, I have a lot of things to say about this game. And first of all, I have to talk about that 4th and 4 incomplete catch by Devontae Smith. It was a great catch.
It wasn't a catch.
It wasn't a catch. The ball fell out of the man's hands. Editor me, throw up the video, slow motion, analysis, zoom in, everything you could do, bro. Literally, just, man, it made me so mad because it set off a butterfly effect of literally everything that could go wrong for the Niners game. Brock Purdy got injured, and then guess what? We literally have we have to go with Josh Johnson, who's been a journeyman. He's a pretty okay QB. TD to end ratio of his career 13-16, passer rating of 70.6, rushing yards 425 yards and 1 touchdown. Came out of San Diego, but we really needed someone like Brock Purdy, like just out there during one of the biggest games of our season, and it didn't work. As for Jimmy G, he's leaving. There's no question about that. Maybe he's going to the Jets. Maybe he's going to, I don't know. But it's up to him. It's up to the managers to see where he wants to go. He's a good veteran. He's a good leader. He's very hot.
I mean, bro, I just said Josh Johnson needs an okay quarterback. Am I right?
I mean, okay. I kind of take back what he said. He's very mediocre.
I think he's terrible, bro. His passer rating is 70.6. Zach Wilson last year had a passer rating of 72.8, which means that Zach Wilson played better at quarterback than Josh Johnson.
Okay, well, who's played more games, Zach Wilson or Josh Johnson? Yeah, I thought so.
That doesn't matter, though, because Zach Wilson sucks.
You can put a 5'3" short midget Asian kid on the field who weighs 100 pounds, and he would still throw better than Josh Johnson.
Okay.
Yes, exactly, bro.
Well, let's talk about the game stats though. 7 completions out of 13, which were all pretty much short routes, drag routes. Didn't really have any deep balls. 74 yards. But the most important part was he was playing one of the best defenses in the league. That's kind of hard to do. He got sacked twice, but had a QBR of 14.7. That's pretty hard to do against one of the best defenses in the NFL. So obviously we haven't seen enough of him. We know for sure he's not going to be starting next season.
I don't think anyone say he's starting next season.
Okay, well, I just like to put it out there. And one more thing is, it got so bad that Josh Johnson got injured and McCaffrey had to put on the QB helmet. And then they did some medical work. Josh Johnson was fine. But McCaffrey did throw 1 pass during that game that everyone thought, I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was going to be a huge play. I saw the camera turning with the ball, and I expected a receiver there. It was no one. It was just green grass. But he does have 1 passing touchdown in the season, so that's one thing you can't take away from him.
Yeah, well, I don't want this podcast to sound like a complaining frenzy from Rohan that the Niners lost. You got to give credit where it's due. The Eagles did win, and they did play an amazing game, including their defense. Their defense, they sacked Josh Johnson and Brock Purdy, and unfortunately they got hurt. But that's how the game is. Injuries do occur.
I'm just gonna say this on the record, but right before this podcast, Dennis was complaining a lot about how the Eagles should not have won that game, and that the Niners got super unlucky. So I just want to say,
I mean, the Niners would have won, but
he gave zero credit to the Eagles. Credit to the Eagles.
All right, I'll talk about, to prove that I'm not complaining, let's give some credit to the Eagles. Jason Kelce, I've literally just talked about this guy every day, and that's because he is the keystone of the Eagles' offense. He is the reason they work. He is the reason why their running game was so successful in that game. 4 rushing touchdowns for Miles Sanders, and that other nobody who I really dislike because somehow He's probably like a 63 overall in Madden. Anyways, I'm talking too much, but gotta give credit where it's due. It was a very strong pass rush, led by Hassan Reddick, who injured Brock Purdy, whatever, and great lockdown defense on the pass. So yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Bengals Chiefs. I mean, I think all four of us were rooting for the Bengals. We want Joe Shiesty, so we're kind of disappointed. It was the officiating was kind of off the charts.
Kind of. Yeah,
But
that's something I definitely want to talk about. Let's highlight a few of these, rough calls. So we got the PI and the clock reset called by the refs, given to the Chiefs, giving a bunch of extra downs. We got a missed call on Joe Burrow when he got PI'd, and then we got an intentional grounding play, which is called on Burrow, even though the ball was already close to their running back. So unless you guys have any other observations about the refs, I feel like the refs really played a major factor in this game, and I really feel if we had some more, fair calls, the Bengals definitely could have pulled out of this one.
yeah, I'm just gonna blame Ron Torbert because he was the ref, and I just like to blame refs. So yeah.
Well, I got a question for you guys. So, do you really think that like how refs in the NBA and in the NFL are like, should they be investigated for these like really bad calls, especially like in close situations, in clutch, like under 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter? Like you can't make these stupid calls. Like you got to lock in, do what you're supposed to do, because that's your job, right?
Bad calls are part of the game.
But too many bad calls in the same game and in clutch moments where it's like really obvious. Like,
all right. Yeah, so along those lines, something that I did see a lot on social media, Twitter, TikTok, and all these platforms. One thing a lot of people were saying is that along how if a player is bad, they get moved down to a lower league. The same thing should happen with refs. If they make enough bad calls, they should be put in a few G League games or a few high school games, and so on. So, what do you guys think? Is that good or?
I mean, high school game, that's far down. I don't even know any of the high school refs, bro.
Dude, I would love to meet an NFL ref and knock some sense into them. But I'd just like to add a few things. One big call everyone's complaining about, you guys didn't bring it up, was third down at midfield, fourth quarter. Mahomes scrambles, and keep in mind he has a badly sprained right ankle, so I'm surprised to see him scrambling here. And then just that's just unfortunate for that player. He gets out of bounds, doesn't get to the fourth down marker, and Joseph Osai, he has an unnecessary roughness call. I can't imagine how bad he's feeling for his team right now, because obviously that 15-yard penalty moved them in range for a 45-yard field goal, where for Harrison Butker, that's easy money. Nailed it down the crosses, and the game ended. So yeah, that is a correct call by the refs.
Yeah, it was.
But man, you gotta feel terrible for him. But the coach did say that one play does not define a season, and there obviously were a few bad plays that led them to where they were. So yeah.
We go back. What went wrong for the Bengals? Personally, for me, we go back to last week. I said, whichever team had the most turnovers were going to lose this game. Burrow had 2 picks. It's pretty bad for him. I mean, he doesn't really throw any interceptions when he plays. Very conservative football player.
Justin Reed,
Happens. Poor offensive line too for the Bengals. Burrow was sacked 5 times. Yeah.
Just want to add, Chris Jones, 2 sacks. He has been on a playoff drought. Hasn't gotten a sack in the season, but obviously took huge advantage of that bruised up O-line. But can he do that against the Eagles though? I don't think so. And a lot of people are saying that he could make that difference in the Eagles game, but with people like Lane Johnson, Jordan Love, I've mentioned these names so many times when we talk about the Eagles. And yeah, speaking of which, let's talk about our Super Bowl predictions. Woo! The Kelsey Bowl, or whatever you want to call it, Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. But for me, it's the Kelsey Bowl. And even more symbolically, during Black History Month, first matchup of black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is black.
All right, so one thing I do want to ask you guys is, what are some of the key points in this match? What are the deciding factors, and how will Mahomes fare on the Eagles' line pressure? It's a lot of questions, but something more than fun.
It's going to be a tough one. I mean, the Eagles got a potent run game, so many weapons. I mean, if Miles Sanders can play, we know Jalen Hurts can play, but he's still a little hurt. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Like, we know Patrick Mahomes getting better. Jalen Hurts has been dealing with that shoulder injury or whatever for like the last 2 months or something. So we'll see how that play out. But we saw that the Eagles can really run the football. We know Patrick Mahomes. He has a big arm. He can throw the football. This will be a big game. Yeah.
Yeah, we said this about the Niners versus the Eagles game, but this is going to be a very close game, and I also think it's going to be a shootout. I do think, though, that the Eagles are going to win, just because they're good on every side of the ball. They have a very strong passing game. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, obviously, rushing game, again, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, and Jason Kelce, their entire O-line, is very good with those inside handoffs. And yeah, I think this is going to be a win for the Eagles. What do you guys think?
Well, my prediction is Eagles win. I have Eagles 27, Chiefs 24.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Jacob on this one. I think Eagles are gonna have 27, Chiefs are gonna have 24. They've been going all out this playoff run, outscoring basically everyone we play against.
Dennis, what's your prediction?
I think that the Eagles also win 20-14.
When everyone's picking the Eagles to win, I think the Chiefs are going to win. So I'm changing my prediction. Chiefs 24, Eagles 23.
So I would like to add something, is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm sure a lot of you guys know that name because he is the guy, the Russian guy. He was the Russian guy for the Chiefs. But unfortunately, he got a high ankle sprain in week 11, which unfortunately sidelined him. They placed him on IR, and now he's all of a sudden activated. Do you guys think he's going to play over Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon?
No. Eli is a third string running back now. You don't see him play anymore. Even before that week 11 performance, he did not play at all. So there's nothing really here to talk about. I mean, Eli is going to be the third string running back, so. Anything else you guys want to say? Or is that it?
Yeah, another injury for the Chiefs is Nicole Hardman. He was injured and placed on IR. He had just come back for that game, then walked off. He felt like he was in too much pain and is now back on IR. So how will this affect the Chiefs' passing game? We still have Kelce, who may still be feeling the side effects of that back strain and that he played through, but obviously he was a bit banged up. And yeah, this has just been a bit of an injury-prone playoffs for the Chiefs. So let's just hope everyone stays healthy in this game. And yeah.
All right, so is that it? Is that it for all of you guys?
Yeah, I'm done here.
All right, so thank you all for listening.
If you guys like this type of content, please let us know in the comments. We don't get comments, so we'd really appreciate if you guys do share this with your friends. We promise next episode that we will have webcams, and I'm going to hold that to everyone here.
Oh, promise.
So, yeah. Hope you guys like this episode, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, smoking on back. Hey, yeah. Hey, bitch, show me that back. Hey, what? Hey, I'm blowing up fast. Yeah. Hey, you know I'm next. Yeah, hey, collecting rings like I'm Sonic. Bitches wanna party. Virus getting heavy, so I got 'em on a diet. Yeah, flex like I'm Hogan. The oven's coming over. We respect the women, so I'm rubbing on his shoulders. Hey.